There we go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's show. I have no background music, but that's fine. That's fine. I can find the captions. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show. Actually, I can take that off. Let's take that off, and I am going to bring on this one. My name is Anthony Barocas. I'm the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cough I'm getting over. But thank you for being here. And welcome to this week's live show, where I am going to be talking about the YoloBox Ultra with version 3.4. And 3.4 is a pretty big update for the Ultra because it's bringing a lot of the features from the Extreme down to the Ultra. It's been some time in coming, and there will probably be a 3.41 update, but we're going to talk about 3.4 because 3.41 is not going to take things away. It's just going to like fix whatever might have a little bug. As always, I love to know where everyone is watching from, so feel free to throw that into the comments. And also, this is a dialogue. I am here, you are here, and if you're here live, you get to actually ask questions, whereas most of the time you watch a video, you watch a video. If you're here live and you took the time to be here live, throw a question in the comments. It doesn't have to be YoloBox related. Well, I'll do my best to answer questions, but I will tell you, I am not AI generated. I am not going to scour the web and give you the press release answer and get half of it wrong in half a second. I have 30 years of experience in multi-camera live production. I use a lot of the different tools, not all. I use many different tools so I can give you comparisons and contrasts. I can tell you what doesn't work. I'm not going to give you just the marketing spiel. That said, full disclosure, I am using a YoloBox Ultra that was provided by YOLO Live, and but they are not paying for the show. I wish they were. They are not paying for the show. I have no affiliation with any company, with any product I talk about today, and thusly anything I give you is actual, honest end-user feedback, which is another reason people also tune in for the show, because it is real, it's genuine. I'm not here to just tell you only the best things about this product. That's what you come to StreamTek for, like actual real stuff. As such, if you want to throw $1 in, super chats are welcome. So feel free to do that if you so choose. If you don't, I'm going to continue anyway. But as always, this is a dialogue. You help drive the show, so feel free to throw in your questions into the comments. And I had a good one in here already. Bowles Promo says, giving Restream a test for my live stream tomorrow night, and I discovered the channel pairs. Ever tried that? Actually, I did do a show about Restream being able to do vertical and horizontal at the same time. You can go back on the YouTube channel and check that out. And as always, I am producing this using Restream. I'm actually watching a Restream studio in front of me and clicking all of the comments from Facebook Restream, Facebook StreamTek, Facebook Me, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. So I'm going to 5 different destinations and pulling comments from all of those destinations using Restream. And if you want to try it out, you can use my affiliate code here, or just use your phone and point it at that thing, or type in bit.ly/st for StreamTek-Restream. It's free to go and check it out. You don't have to pay to check out the studio. They'll put a little thing in the corner, until you do pay. But it's fully operational. And one of those cool things is you can do horizontal and vertical streaming at the same time. Thus far, only to YouTube. And I was going to turn it on for this show, but apparently I found out you got to do it before the show because once you are live, they won't let you do it. So, man, it's just going to be a tough day. So orientation, oh wait, let me do it this way. I think it's that one, yeah. Orientation selection not available while live. So I found that out while trying to turn it on for today's show, that you can't add the vertical after having already gone live. So I'll learn that for next time. I got to turn it on before the show. That's pretty cool. So, and the really cool thing is if you do vertical and horizontal, it doesn't count as an extra stream. So I can do 5 destinations, but if I add vertical, it's still 5 destinations. Figure that one out. That's pretty cool. So feel free to check that out right there. And like I said, it's a QR. You could go just to Restream.com, which is what I'm using for all the comments and this overlay and all the pre-show overlays and the pre-show ticker and all of that is happening in Restream. And if you ever watched any of my bird dog shows, those were produced entirely in Restream, bringing in remote guests, the multiple scenes, the giveaways, everything was all done in Restream. So those were really cool. But this show is actually produced on a Magewell director, and while I could do it on the Ultra, in order to back out of the show and show you some of the other stuff, I'd have to end the show, which defeats the purpose. So I have to use another switcher to show you what this switcher is doing. That's why we're doing that. Question comes in, is the new firmware update public or are you a beta tester? It's mostly public. They said 20% of people or 40% of people, they're rolling it out slowly to try and get feedback and any sort of bug reports before, blasting it out to everybody. But I went to my device earlier this week and it was there. So now I can show it to you. Oh, Kirk Riley in Dallas, Texas says, good morning. Oh, actually, let me go through my good mornings. So we got Pet Matt's photo saying hello from Chicago, Illinois. We've got a new one, Tony Wise in Prosper, Texas, which is literally right up Preston Road from me. Go figure that out. So Prosper, Texas, good morning to you. I'm down in Frisco. And Chad Booth says, good day from Tennessee. And Wayne, Super Bowls promo, is watching from Australia, which has got to be like crack of dawn in the overnight there. We have Edit Projects Washington, D.C., and Kirk Riley in Dallas, which I just mentioned. And we have installed videography from Corfu, Greece. I love getting Greece in here. And yay! Maskets Productions from Pico Riviera, California. And we also have Spokane, Washington, Kevin Egland in the house. And I believe that is everybody saying hello. If you haven't already said where you're watching from, feel free to throw that in the comments as well as your question. Oh, wait, got one more. See, you're watching it and you see it happen. Chicago in the house. Thank you very much. Bowles Promo mentions channel pairs is different. It's not the horizontal vertical. It sends an invitation for someone to also stream your live stream to their channel. I have not seen it. I will have to check that out. And that's one of the cool things about Restream is that they're responding to user requests and changing things. Like one of the things that they did, a year ago was they added a countdown in Restream, which I use for the I used to use for the Bird Dog show. I'm no longer doing the Bird Dog show for Bird Dog. And when they did it, it came out like right here, and that was it. And I says, dude, in the center of the frame does me no good. I need to move it in the corner down here. I need to move it somewhere. I need to set how long it is because it was set to like, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or or something, 5 minutes or something like that. And I said, I need 15. I want to have 15 minutes for my pre-show. I want to have user definable. So if you're doing a live stream and it's a corporate event and it has a break for 30 minutes, I need a 30-minute countdown and things like that. So they listened, and now you can change the color, the size, the font, the location, the duration, all of that. You can attach music to it, and when that countdown is done, it'll automatically go to another scene. It's just super cool. So again, if you want to check out Restream, feel free to use my affiliate code or scan the QR code, and that'll take you to Restream. And if you sign up, I'll make 50 cents. If you don't sign up, I won't make 50 cents. If you just want to check it out for free, you can do that. So that's what that is going on right there. And cancel that. And let's go back to the comments. And I am just throwing this out there. If you want to, super chats are welcome because I do these shows every single week for you. And if I'm helping you, feel free to help back. Maskis Productions apparently already installed it. Very happy with the update, especially the new advanced scheduling option. Update also fixed the sound issue I was having. Cool. So good feedback on the update already. Is there an update on the YoloBox Pro? I am from Ohio. There was just recently a small update for the Pro again. Although I will say the Pro is like over 5 years old. It's like having a 5-year-old phone and asking for new features. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but you know, they can prove me wrong. The Pro is, I don't know, 7 years old at this point. And the Pro is, I think, as good as it's going to get. It's at the limit of what that hardware can do. And it's a great device. And the Pro has features that the Mini has not got. Look at it. Okay, you can actually see my interface in the screen. See, there's my interface. The Pro has features, but I wish several of the features that the Pro has would come down to the Mini, like being able to use the YOLO deck, like being able to bring in an NDI input, like, you know, things that the Pro, because the Pro and the Mini processor, they came out at the same time. They're very close. I wish the Mini would get some of those updates. And what I would love to see, feel free to mention it in the user group on Facebook, because I've been pushing for it, and I hope they do this, is upgrade the Pro and the Mini with new processors. Like, just let them handle more, you know, let them do it more reliably. And one of the really nice things that these things would really benefit from is the new audio mixer that you see in the Ultra and the Extreme. That would make the remote guest feature on these devices work beautifully. That's really the thing that's holding back remote guest from working on the Pro and the Mini, is that you can't have a mix minus to not hear yourself if you're self-producing. But, you know, if you feel the same, go to the Facebook user group and let them know. I have that right over here. This is the Facebook user group, and today we're going to be talking about the YoloBox Ultra 3.4. Any new updates? I don't think you're going to see new features on the Pro anymore. We have George Luis Dominguez in Argentina, Buenos Aires. Good to have you here. Thank you very much. I wish the Extreme had an easier way to swap out media assets. It's easy enough now, but the flow of fast-paced live stream is interrupted. It is, and to that extent, it's like that for most any of these all-in-one devices. And if you have a particular pinch point in working with an all-in-one production device, that's when you take that task and you put it somewhere else. So you put it on a laptop coming in via HDMI or NDI or whatever it is, and you have somebody else do that over there, and they're able to like use a tool. So if you need to like play a bunch of different videos, there's software tools that do that, specifically designed to do that, and they will do it faster than you can do it on the all-in-one device, whether it be a Director or a Rodecaster or an Osee or a YoloBox or anything like that. That way you can focus on doing the show and somebody else is focusing on swapping out the media assets. When it becomes a pinch point, like if you have a whole lot of audio going on, then you just give it to somebody else with an audio mixer. That's one of the cool things. And the other thing you can do a little bit is, and it's funny that this actually brings this up, is, let me go side by side, you can actually hand some of those duties off to the web control, which I actually have already set up because that's what I do for these shows, is you do a lot of prep work. This is the interface for the YoloBox Ultra that I have right in front of me. It's right here. Now, I will say, like right here, you can see it's not updating, although if I scroll down on the other device, if I scroll down on my laptop, you'll see that it shows the 2 views is what I have selected. It's not updating, but if it were to, let me select USB 1. And now it should switch to USB 1. Maybe I touch it over here. Or did it lose connection again? I think it might have lost connection again. Sources. There we go. So that one is the only one it updates because it is in program. And if I select my 2 views, you'll see that one is the only one it updates, which is kind of annoying. Now, you can also switch from the laptop. So I'm switching between these different sources by touching them with my cursor, And so I'm doing the switch on the laptop. Now, this is how it looks on if you have a tablet and you log into the web interface. I'm doing it on a laptop web interface, and this has to be on the same local area network using the YoloBox Ultra. For comparison, and I can do this because I'm not beholden to any company, as I said, I'm producing this on a Magewell Director, so I just happen to have that already set up. So here's the Magewell Director. You can see there's an audio meter right up there. You can see program is like live. It's much faster. You can see all of my sources down here, and you can see that they all update. You know, maybe they're still only doing 1 frame a second, but they're all updating. Very different than just the one that's in program updating. And this one gives me program separately. Another thing I want to point out with the web control on the YoloBox is you go to audio. Here's the audio. How loud is it? No idea. You can adjust it. You can drag the sliders, but you have no idea what the audio level is. Let's go back over to the director for comparison and go to the audio mixer. And then we'll scroll down here and you will see my audio mixer. And you will see the live audio that is being fed through the device itself. And I can drag those sliders and adjust it. And this can be on the local area network. It could be on using their app, or you could do this from anywhere around the world if you have it connected to their cloud or their Connect service. So big differences in terms of what you can do on the devices, handing it off. That's what I was sort of driving at, is if you want to hand audio off to someone else to manage the audio on the Ultra, that's the interface they're going to have on a laptop, but they can't see the meters. So it's there, but it's not there enough, in my opinion. Greetings from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good to see you here. Make sure to tell everyone to hit the like button. Hit the like button. Subscribe. And better still, if you like what you see on this channel, if you like the StreamTek channel, remember all these videos are here. 310 videos about all different kinds of stuff are all available over here for you to go through. And if you're looking for anything in particular, you can use the little search icon and search for just NDI, search for just Osee, search for just PTZ. That's pretty cool. And you can get all the information you want right over there. So subscribe, hit that little like and subscribe button. And also, if you take one of these videos that you like and you share it on your social media, that would do me a solid as well. And don't forget, you can also, if you are watching on YouTube, you can also throw in a super chat. So that would be cool as well. And then I am also findable over here on Streaming Media Magazine. I've been writing for Streaming Media for almost 20 years. 20 years. And I have a new review of the Magewell Director Plus that's going to be featured over here as well. But you can see the YoloBox Extreme, the Director Mini, and that one in the middle is a collection of all-in-one production devices, including the Director and the YoloBox and several others. These two are not the only ones in the chat. So feel free to check that out as well on Streaming Media. If you want consulting, if you want to have 20 years of background experience for you, you can go to streamtek.us and go to the Contact Us page. I do one-on-one consulting. You can also find the B4 on Micro Four Thirds group, where I put big ENG lenses on Micro Four Thirds cameras and others. That's my group. Did that about 12 years ago now. And Teradek's AirMix. I've created this group on Facebook to help people who want to try out Teradek AirMix, which is an iPad-based all-in-one switcher, streaming, recorder, replay, multi-camera, live switch with audio and everything on an iPad. And the best part is this was orphaned before COVID, so it's more than 6 years old. But if you have old hardware, that's actually the hardware it was designed to work on. So it doesn't demand that you have the latest anything. the latest Android phone or the latest iOS. You can use it on older hardware. And as always, I will give a shout out to my sister, 17secondsstudio.org. My sister does creative artwork up in Alaska, so you can check out some of her artwork at 17 Seconds Studio. And if you like it, you can send her a message. And I need to update it because some of those items have been sold. So feel free to check all of that out. Let's continue down with the comments. Got some good comments coming in today. Why don't you leave your camera mirrored? In case you wanted to show us text again, you wouldn't have to change it. Just trying to see any advantage of having it mirrored the way you keep it. Great question. And it's not necessarily streaming related, but this is actually a great question. And it's one that I, as a self-producer, have had to wrestle with. And I have those two presets on my switcher. I have those two presets on here specifically for when I need to hold something up. So if I hold up the sheet that I had printed out, normally it's backwards. It says YoloBox Ultra. Like, why is it backwards? But if I click a button, now it's correct. Why do I have that? And I have that because I'm looking at my program screen. And because my program screen is facing me, my program screen is backwards. So when I bring something up, if I'm normal, if I don't flip my camera, I'm going to point this way because to me on the screen, that's where it is. And I do refer to things a lot. So for me to see it on that side, I need to flip me so that when I point at the thing that I see in front of me, I'm pointing in the right direction. And because I do that a lot, like if I'm going to be, let's just say I'm overhead and I'm over top of something, me pointing to the ports and to the YOLO deck is a whole lot easier because I have been flipped to be the same orientation as the screen that's in front of me. That's why. Great question. Very perceptive. Bowls promo. I use Director Mini 2, so at least I know what is compatible with Restream. Any traps I need to be wary of? No. Caveat, what I'm doing is I'm taking the video out of my Director and it goes into the studio of Restream so that in the studio, that's where I can see all of the comments. I can bring up different overlays and things like that. I'm producing that in the studio. So technically, this is kind of crazy when you think about it. Technically, I have Restream handling the comments, handling multicasting, and I have a studio. So technically, I have the Restream switcher in front of me. One step back, I'm switching my own graphics. So if I want to bring up my lower third, I'm doing this in the Director Mini. So I have the Director Mini as a switcher for this program. If I do a side-by-side, what appears in that box, like I could be overhead, I could go to my laptop, I can go to the PC, I can take the output of the YoloBox, I can do all of these things. And to do that switch, I'm using another switcher. I'm using a Blackmagic ATEM Pro, whatever it is, it has 8 inputs. Because I have more inputs over there that I want to switch between, but I don't want to change this multi-view. I just want to switch what's in the box. And it's simpler to have one multi-view on one button in the Director Mini and then have another switcher switch what goes in the box. So there's a lot of cables and routing going on. And then I have another switcher down here. So this show is going through 4 switchers. So if you ever see me seem just a tiny bit confused, it's because I'm managing 4 different switches at the same time while also producing the show. Kirk Riley says, I definitely agree. Upgrade the hardware in the existing devices, Mini and Pro, and actually the InStream too. Although I can see the InStream hasn't been updated in 3 years. It's their vertical tool. The InStream hasn't been updated in 3 years. And even though I think they should, the Ultra is now pretty much the vertical production tool. As much as I would love to see the InStream get a little bit of love, like being able to save what you built, like having different shows, and adding YOLO deck capability and things like that. I don't see it happening because YOLO hasn't updated it in 3 long years. But the Mini and the Pro, I definitely think still has a place, especially the Mini. Yeah, I know it only has one input, but if you want something on top of your camera to do like sports out in the field and bring in the comments and do the sports scoreboard and record it and stream it and do bonding, and you really don't need more than this. You really don't. I don't need to put a 4-input 7-inch honk of a switcher on top of my camera to do kids sports from the sideline. I just need this. And so being able to update that so it does what it does more reliably but keeps the same form factor, I think would be a great thing for YOLO to do. Thank you for throwing in your comments in there too. I'm having an issue with my YoloBox Ultra. When I use OBS via NDI, the image appears in front of the 4 connected camera inputs, and I can't see the NDI input. Can't set the NDI input to full screen in front of the 4 connected inputs. So what I'm taking you to say is, let me go to the overhead, is that so I have connected cameras here, and when you plug in the HDMIs, they automatically populate, which is really cool. You know, YoloBox does this. The director doesn't automatically populate anything. You have to build every scene. YOLO actually shows you the inputs, and then from the inputs, you can build scenes. So here you've got those things. And you're saying that when you use OBS via NDI, the image appears in front of the 4 connected camera inputs. So I have an NDI input. I have a camera way over there. It's a bird dog camera, and it just appears down here. But do remember that you can just grab this and move it wherever you want, okay? So let me do a little juggle here. You can move this wherever you want, and so if it's appearing in front of your other inputs, but you want it to appear down here, just remember you could just drag it wherever you want. I hope that helps. And I can't set the NDI input to full screen. Well, so here's my video input and here's my NDI input, and you just hit that button and it's full screen. So it should do that, and if it's not doing that, do an update and then do a restore so that any old cache that might be on the device is cleared out. So do those 2 things. That should get you up and running. I already updated the new version a few days ago. Oh, okay. Well, we're both using the same version, so if it's not doing what it should do, definitely try the restore. And if not, then reach out to YOLO, because that should definitely work. Andreas, I finally fixed my name channel. Hello from Greece. Hello from Greece again. Sorry you lost the bird dog gig. I'm not sorry I lost the bird dog gig. I didn't lose the bird dog gig. We still have a great relationship. It's just I reached out to them at a time when they were doing something with marketing, and it worked out great, and we produced it for a year and a half. And at this point, they changed the way they do their marketing. They're focusing on X as opposed to Y. No, that's how things go. And there's no hard feelings. You know, I would love to keep doing it. I would love to do other things with them. And, you know, when we talked, I says, hey, listen, things change in the future. Reach out to me. I love working with them. And I know several of the team there. And, you know, opportunity may come again. We'll see. But I just want to make it clear that the fact that I'm using a bird dog camera is not because I'm doing their show. I'm not highlighting their camera because they were paying me to do the show for them. I have one of their cameras. That's just it. There's no relationship. There's no financial relationship between me and bird dog or Magewell or YoloBox at all. I mean, I have an HP Omen. There's no relationship between me and HP. Very cool solution. I've opted to use the Extreme as a hyperdeck of sorts within StreamYard. Very cool. It just flows better. I can play a stinger and quickly change assets via one tap on the Extreme. Yes. And that's where the division of resources really pays off, is by, you know, hey, you know, instead of trying to do all this in here, I can move this over there. And you saw, like, I've got 4 switchers because it makes it easier for me to do each of the things in a specific space. You know, and if I wanted to, if I had a separate producer like Kirk Riley could actually sit into the studio and he could switch, or he could sit into the Restream studio, and he could switch the comments for me from anywhere. That's one of the magics of separating the things. Moshito Film says, hello from South Africa. It's wasteful, but it flows very well. It's not wasteful if it works. You know, it's sometimes it seems wasteful to have this expensive product handle just this little task. But if it makes the workflow better, if it does something that needs to be done, do it. That's the key thing. My normal Type-C to Type-C cable jack, but not input on YoloCam Ultra webcam Type-C out. Please tell me this port, what type of cable Type-C? Okay, we're going to work through this. My normal Type-C to Type-C cable jack, not input in YoloBox. Not every Type-C cable is the same. They're very, very different. I have cables. I actually going to walk away for a second. I'm back. Okay. Not every cable is the same. And I had this happen just yesterday, building today's show, because I was building it yesterday. Yeah, it seems like I just stand here and talk, but I built the show yesterday. And I have the YoloBox S3, which if we look at the YOLO, and I switch to USB 1, this right here is the YoloCam S3. It's connected via USB cable, and YOLO provides this heavy, it doesn't want to bend type of cable, and I have to stick it in a spot just in front of my other camera, and it's annoying. This cable is annoying. I do not like this cable, but I tested it. It is, let me flip the camera. It is USB 3 and PD capable. And what I did was I had purchased a device like this, and I covered this in a previous show, that lets me test the cables. So I said, oh, look, I've got this lightweight cable. I want to use this cable. So let me see if I turn this on. I may have taken the battery out, but oh, that's function. Power, there it is. It's the black switch on the black device. So that's going to boot up for a second, I guess. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I did take the battery out. Because one of my rules is don't leave batteries. Oh, I did leave it in there. That maybe it's dead. Don't leave batteries and stuff. See, I broke my own rule. Because the batteries will go bad and then leak and then ruin the item. Battery. Oh, it was on battery. So the battery's dead. So this thing, if it worked, would let me plug in my cable that I wanted to, this lightweight, much softer cable to use with the S3 camera. But the problem is I tested this and it's only USB 2 and it provides power, not PD power. And the camera needs more power and it needs USB 3. So even though this has USB-C, it's a dumbass USB 2 cable. So not all cables are what you think they are. This one is a USB 3 and PD 3 capable, but this is just an extension. And this one is USB 3 and PD 3, also an extension, but a longer extension. So I went through and I tested many of my cables and labeled them because not every USB-C cable is the same. I mean, even Apple came out with their new MacBook Neo and has 2 USB-C ports. Oh my goodness, I'm going to get so much speed. What they don't tell you is that one of those is a USB 2 port. It's dirt slow, almost no power, and it looks the same as the USB-C cable or the USB 3 port right next to it. And they don't label them differently either. So not even every USB-C port is the same. YoloBox Ultra webcam Type-C out. So one of the, I'm working my way because this is obviously not native language. Second one says, what type of cable we need in Ultra for type out webcam? Okay, you need a USB-C to USB-C, and it has to specifically come out the bottom. So as you can see here, I've set this up with a USB-C to hub. It's powered, and I've got the YOLO deck plugged into it because I didn't want to use my two camera inputs up here. I have a camera input here coming from a converter dongle, so it's actually HDMI, and then I have the webcam over here. So those two are coming in via USB, and then they appear down here as USB 1 and USB 2. So those two are coming in down there, and technically I should have a fourth one. Oh, that's over here. So I can plug that in over here. There we go. So now I've got all four HDMIs connected. But you need to come out this one, and you need to go into the settings, do USB-C out. You have to tell it what you want the USB-C out to do. So you click on that, and then do you want DisplayPort and USB hub mode? That's what I have, which means that I can't connect this to a computer. You want the UVC out mode. You want this to appear as a webcam in something else. You need to select UVC out mode. So go into the settings, figure out the right cable, and then use the right settings from just this port, not those. And there's two USB ports on the bottom. The one on the end is your power. You can see I have it plugged into a power adapter. The one further in, I can actually tilt this. The one further in is the connector, and they have different icons on the bottom. Good questions. Thank you all for putting the questions in here. With Restream, is there any degradation of the signal to multiple platforms? Short answer is no. There's no degradation of the signal to multiple platforms. It's sending the same signal to multiple platforms. I actually, come to think of it, it's limited to HD. So if you're trying to do 4K, the studio that I'm using, and you know, got the link here, the studio that I'm using is not 4K, not yet anyway. So I'm outputting HD from my Director Mini, which is also just HD. And that goes into a capture box that goes into my PC. It's a Microsoft Surface sitting over here just off screen. And then that is going into the studio. So I don't have the ability to set the data rate. I have not seen that. Whereas like on the Director, if I want to stream and I say, okay, 1080p, 60 frames a second or 30 frames a second at, you know, 6 megabits or 5 megabits or 4 megabits, you could do the same thing in the YoloBox and the Osee switchers and things like that. I don't see that settings in the Restream Studio. Feature to ask for, and I will ask for that. But I do not see degradation because when I download the show from Restream, I keep a copy of them because they age out after 30 days. I download it and I compare it to the local recorded copy I have in the Magewell Director. There's really not much difference. And the copy I'm downloading from Restream is from the cloud. It's the part that gets all the way up to the cloud that they're passing on to everybody else. So it's not, you know, it's not a local recording on my computer. I have to download it back from the cloud. JFilms Tech from Atlantic City, welcome to the show, and congratulations to Julio here, who I noticed today. I'm sorry if I'm late to the party, but Julio is now an admin in the YOLO group, so congratulations to you. Awesome. I just updated my Ultra to the latest version, but when I import a 1920 by 1080 300 DPI canvas PNG into the overlays, it imports it at 50% scaled. When you recall it, the quality is poor. Go with 72 DPI because technically, I think that might be what's throwing it off. I know when you're in Photoshop, it has a DPI setting, and that may be one of the settings that's embedded in the EXIF of the image that is throwing off the tablet. It may be something else. I don't know. But there is no 300 DPI in video because there is no inch in video. Every screen has a different size. DPI has to do with print. DPI has to do with printing it on a piece of paper that has a physical size, and that physical size is the same for every single piece of paper everywhere. That is an inch. Whereas if I have a 5-inch screen, you know, your pixels are smaller. If I have a 7-inch screen, a 10-inch screen, a 20-inch screen, a 40-inch screen, there is no DPI because every surface you view it on is different. Inch only comes about in physical space, not on the screen. So there's no DPI. So set it to 72 and try that again. If it still doesn't work, then I would let YOLO know, and it could be a scaling issue. So in your director, if you switch on live comments, is it the same as you're seeing on Restream? No. That's one of the reasons I do all of my comments on Restream, is because 1, I can go to more destinations. The Director Mini is limited to 3 destinations. 2, I'm sending one stream to the cloud and Restream splits it to 5. I'm only sending my studio to the cloud. Restream is splitting it to 5. I'm not sending multiple streams. I'm not taking up more bandwidth to try and push up. Whereas if I did this on the Director, it would have to send 3 separate streams. So if I'm sending a 5 megabit streams, I need 15 megabytes to handle 3 separate streams. And as I always say, I really like to have double the bandwidth. So now all of a sudden I need 30 megabits up to handle those 3 streams more reliably. And it's just simpler to send one stream in the studio and have the studio multicast it. Third, comments and comment moderation on the Magewell devices is awful. I've covered this in a previous stream, but you have to bring up an overlay over the middle of the thing, and then you have to click it, and then it takes you to, is this how you would like it to look? Yes. Click it again, and then it appears on the screen, and then it doesn't go away automatically. Well, I mean, neither do these, even though I keep begging them to add that feature. But this whole animation on and animation off, you can't animate them on the Director. You really have no control. You can choose from like 3 different presets, and they just appear. You can't move it. You can't size it into the corner. You can't, it's just awful. So while you can do live comments if you use the API, and the Director, as well as the YoloBox, do not have APIs to LinkedIn, and I can't do 2 Facebooks as far as I know. So it's just easier for me to have Restream, which has like 20 different APIs, multiple destinations. I've covered this in the Restream show, and there's just so many more benefits. Like I said previously, give to those tools the tasks that they're the best at. And Restream is way better at restreaming my show and handling and grabbing all those comments in and giving me a tally that I have however many people across all these different things live watching at the same time. I don't get that on the Director Mini as well. So not the same as all. Can you control the camera S3 and 7 if you had 4 of the cameras? Because I noticed we only have 3 slots without using a PC or a Mac. Great question. I don't have that many cameras to test, but we can kind of test it here today. So let's dive in. The question is, can I control the camera? I guess is on the Ultra. Did you say Ultra? You didn't say Ultra, but that's one of the new things to the Ultra. So let's look at this. Bing. We have the Ultra. I have my S3 plugged in up here. And one of the cool new features is I can go into that USB camera. I can click on here and I have camera settings. These are the camera settings that people who are using the Extreme have had for a long time, and they finally trickled down to the Ultra, and I'm very happy about this. So here is my, you see, this is my main camera. This is the S3, and I'm just gonna angle that a little bit more. Okay. So you can see the green screen I have behind me. This is actual studio, whereas in the show, well, you can kind of see it right there. In the show, it's replaced with the StreamTek purple. One of the cool things, so over here, you see I have PTZ. It's not really PTZ, it's zoom. So I can go in 2x, I can go in 3x, I can go in 4x, because remember, it's a 4K camera. So you can go at least 2x if you're doing an HD show and not really lose anything. And 1x, or you could just, well, don't try to do this live. It'll look kind of weird if you did this live. You got zoom controls. Over here is, once you dial in something, you can save it as a setting. So right there, I default scene, whatever, but you can heart, name it, and save it. Over here on the right, see, now I have to do it differently. Over here on the right, let's get my finger correct there. Over here on the right, see what I'm talking about with the left and right? This is hard. Sharpness, contrast, vignetting correction. What is that? Oh, well, the camera actually looks like this. So they add vignetting correction to lighten the edges that the teeny little lens in it darkens. Over here, you can change the hue, saturation, and lightness, which is, something that I wish we could do with every camera. Like, one of the features that they mention is that we now have, let me come over here. Boo, 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 boo. Actually, I'm going to do this on paper. All right. YoloCam S3, S7 direct controls, including hue, saturation, lightness, color adjustment. And the one above that is LUT support. I printed this in black, but my printer decided to print it in color, so it's orange. LUT support. So if you have a camera and you want to apply a LUT, that's great. But if I have an HDMI camera, let me back out of this. If I go to my HDMI camera and I come over here and I can do LUTs, I can apply a LUT, but I can't just make it brighter or darker. And I've begged YOLO to sit there and say, okay, this is great that I can load a LUT in there and determine its intensity and turn it on and turn it off. But I would love to be able to, like, if somebody gives me a GoPro and I have a big, studio camera, to be able to adjust the contrast and saturation and the brightness a little bit to get them to look a little bit more similar. I don't want to have to go to the trouble to go somewhere and build a LUT and bring it in. Nope, that's too much. Go somewhere, create a LUT, bring it in. Nope, that's too little. All right, go somewhere. This is, I wish, like with the USB camera, I could just come over here and change the sharpness and saturation like that. And you can adjust the focus area, AFC, or adjust the face. You see it tack on it. Let me go over here, show you the YOLO. It's tracking my face. Look at that. La, 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 la. And then if I just say centered, there you go. Or manual focus will bring up focus control. Or if once you get it focused somewhere, you just hit manual focus and then you don't have to worry about it going out of focus. But then if you bring something up close to the camera, it's not going to focus on it. But if I put it on autofocus continuous and I say, oh, if I say focus on this can, look at that, it focused on the can. Not as fast and as smoothly as my main camera. You see how you don't even notice that it's focusing. Whereas if I do this, wait for it, there it is. And if I move back, you see it, it's not as organic, but it's still there and I'm holding it within inches. So that's really cool that you can hold stuff really close to it. Next one up is your exposure. So it's oh, I have it set to -3. So you can see the exposures are kind of the same. If I set it back up to where it wants to be, I think it's a little too bright. You could also go in the full manual, set the shutter speed. It only goes down to 1/60th. It doesn't go down to 1/50th for PAL users, or maybe just because my show is at 60th of a second. And then you got your shutter and your dynamic range settings. So, you know, supposedly here, once you get your middle exposure, you can increase and decrease your dynamic range, or you can just leave it in auto like I did. And then your white balance, you can set a manual white balance, which I have set to 3700K. And then if it still looks a little green or blue or whatever to you, you can dial that in here. Another really good feature that I would love to see come to the HDMI, because I have Panasonics, and Panasonics always seem just a little orangish to me, whatever. And then gear settings, so I've got it set to 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames a second. You can upgrade the firmware. If your YoloBox is connected to the internet, you can actually do full maintenance and updates of your connected cameras from the YoloBox, which is cool. You don't have to like then use a computer, then bring it back over here. Cool. Also, do note that the cameras will hold settings. So if you wanted to use this somewhere else, like if you wanted to use a YOLO camera on a Magewell Director, you could dial in the settings here, disconnect it, and it should hold those settings when you plug it into the Magewell Director. So, because all those settings, you're actually telling the camera what to do. Those are not happening in the YoloBox. So hopefully there you go with the information about the Ultra. That's what we're going to check. We're going to check, can we do more cameras, S3 and S7? How we're going to check that is we're going to look at this device. I have two USB inputs up here. Now, those are always going to be there. Those are always going to be available. But can I put two inputs into my hub? Because I do have two ports. So I'm going to take out my YOLO deck. It's going to go dead. I'm going to plug in my S3. This is the magic of a live show. This is what everybody tunes in for. This is what everybody throws in those super chats for. Let's see. So that one, did that come back? Or do I need to power the hub too? Because I did not see my USB hub, my USB camera come back. Now, again, if I plug this in via directly, it'd probably work just fine. PD power, those are things. So let me see if I bring, if I bring, do I have a higher power output? I don't think I have a high power, a PD power, but let me see if I can add just 3 amps, if that'll help. And I do not see, no, the camera's not powering up. You know what? I do have PD power. I'm going to pull it, excuse me, out of the YoloBox. I'm going to plug it in here. Now this thing is fully powered up. Yeah, there's no other port on here. And if I unplug the camera and plug the camera back in and into the hub, it's not showing up. So the answer I would say is no. You would need a C to C cable to go to the camera. Oh, wait, the camera is blinking. Camera's blink. No, it blinked. It was blinking, but it's not staying on. Try the other port. And it may be dependent upon the hub too. Maybe different hubs have different capabilities in terms of powering USB-A devices. And there's 2 USB-C ports as well. Maybe I need to come out of the USB-C port. There's so many variables in terms of getting a hub to work. I see a solid light. I see a camera. There we go. So this is my S3 again, and we can show you that because I can go into the camera settings. And there it is. Now it's at 720p. Maybe it couldn't do it at 1080 and it had to dial things down. Interestingly, do you see though that my camera settings are now not the same as when I had it plugged in to the USB 3 port directly up here. So that is interesting. So these are 10 megabit supports on the side, 10 megabits. It's printed on the side of this hub. And it's not providing all of the resources. So your question Can you control the camera of the S3 and S7 if you had 4 of the cameras, because on this we have 3 slots? Even with a hub, I am finding that this is not happening. It may be hub dependent. It may be I need to come out of the USB-C port. I don't have another cable handy to do that. And I can only prepare so much for every possible contingency. And can you roll back the firmware? Supposedly in this latest version, you can roll back the firmware. I'm going to plug the cameras back in up here. I was going to try to plug in both cameras, but I think we've, no. I think we've figured out that the general answer is no. Now maybe that's a Ugreen hub. You know, I would go with Ugreen or Anchor or something like a more name brand that has a reputation and a company you can actually reach out to for support. Can you roll back the firmware? Let's see. We covered the YoloCam controls. We covered LUT support. Manual firmware upgrades and downgrade support. So that's what they say is that, yes, we're actually going to exit the live streaming show done. And this is why I said I'm not producing it on here, so that I can exit out. And you come over here to the upgrade area. I'm currently on the latest settings. It doesn't say where you would downgrade the setting. Manual firmware update or rollback. There you go. 3 dots up there in the corner. I click on that. There you go. Look at that. Select a firmware from the SD card. Look at that. That's how you do it. And that's why you tune into this show. Back into the show. New quick mode with single RTMP streaming replaces the original monitor mode. Yeah, I saw this, and then immediately somebody was in quick mode and says, how do I get my remote guests in quick mode? I just want to do, back out. I just want to do a quick show. Now see, this is interesting. Monitor and record or RTMP streaming. No local, no login or network. So if you don't have a network, how are you doing RTMP streaming? That's confusing. So we can enter this. And so I got streaming destinations. Go figure. But if I have no network, it's really weird that has that limitation. And I don't see remote guests here. Yeah, they actually removed remote guests from here, even though it can be connected to the internet. That doesn't make any sense. And my premise was that they don't need to call this streaming mode. They just call this horizontal mode and vertical mode. And then what you do in that mode is up to you. You know, if you're in landscape mode, you don't need to stream. You could just be over here and then just hit the record button. But you have all the features available to you. So if you wanted to bring in remote guests, you could do that if you wanted to. You could bring in remote guests. You could stream or not if you wanted to. You could bring in web sources for graphics and things like that. All the features are there. You just don't use those things you don't want to use, you know. And if you don't want to look at them, you can even come over here to the gear icon and change your tools order and say, you know what? I'm not using replay. I'm not using scoreboard. I'm not using the auto switch. I don't want to invite guests, which is weird because it's down here, even though it says it's not down here. So a little weird. Restore the default buttons, which didn't do anything. That's weird. So do I need to turn the invite guests on? Done. So that I can then come into, well, why is it not going back out? And then go in the tools order and then turn, didn't I just turn? Ah, there they are. So, oh, okay. My mistake. Minus means take it off. So let's just say I don't want to look at the scoreboard. I don't want to look at replay. I don't want auto switch. I don't care about the transitions. I'm not going to use background music. I do need to see the comments. I'm not paying for network bonding, so I don't need to see it. Technically, platforms, once I set it, I don't want to change it, and you can't change it while streaming anyway. And recording, once I've set it, I'm not going to change it anyway. So the three things I need to see more often is overlays and comments. So I could do that and say done, and now overlays, comments, audio mixer. Those are the three things on the bottom there that I'm going to be using. Overlays, these three things. And then I don't have a whole bunch of clutter down here. I don't have to scroll through stuff. I mean, technically, I would put platforms into settings anyway. I would put recording settings over here in settings where some of the other things are, like you got your stream settings. Why are my recording settings here? And my SD card management. You know, I want it to go to the SD card. And then how often do I want it to break a file and things like that? All of that should be over here in settings, not as something that I need to access right away. That's what these tabs are for. But if I was doing a show where I wanted to have remote guests or background music, I'll turn that on. And I wanted to invite guests, I'll turn that on. Or if I was doing a sports thing, I want to turn scoreboard and replay on and turn off remote guests. You know, put those things that you need in front of you there. And then this way now I can go to my background music where I have some background music and I can turn that on. There it is. Now it's playing. You know, now I can play the background music. I can have it loop the one song. I can go and turn background, invite guests on and send out some invitations as part of the show that I have going on. So that's a cool feature, being able to put things in and out as you need them. Quick mode, you know, yes, great. You got quick mode. I think quick mode is a dumb idea. Multi-view now supports more custom settings. Border, rounded corners, XY position adjustment. Yes, this has been a long time coming because the really nice thing with adding a, let's just say 3 views with 1, 2, 3 done, is that, you know, it used to be you just had scale and you could put a background behind it. That's great. But now when you go to the customized one and you want to add this one, done, and you want to size it and put it in the corner and things like that, it's very nice to be able to more discreetly adjust things. Add this guy, done, put him over here. And, okay, not in custom, save. Let's save that as custom. Do this one. And we're going to edit. Position. You see I've got a button to adjust by discrete amounts. That wasn't there before because the YOLO was just sort of like, it just had a slider. How much? Now, in addition to the slider, you've got the number and plus and minus, which makes it easy to dial things in very accurately. Thickness of those things, 8, 5, 4, 3. 3 is good, done. So being able to discreetly do that is much better than it was before. So thank you, YOLO, for bringing that to us. XY position control and border customization and overlays. Yes, overlays as well gets that. So if you come into your titles and you want to do a title like this one, now look at this. It's like your X-axis, your Y-axis, your size. So I want this at 53%, and I'm going to put it over here at exactly 34, and down here at 400. Now it makes it a lot easier to copy that across. And remember, you don't also, there's another way to do that done. If you're doing multiple titles, you just take this title and you got to, I can't duplicate it? Yeah, I can. There, duplicate it. So now I've got an extra one and I can take that one and duplicate it and duplicate it and duplicate it, and they're all going to be in the same exact spot with the same exact colors and things like that. And another thing that you've been able to do for some time is when you go into the colors, down here under custom is where you can type in a hex code over there on the right, where I can do my overlay. Right here, you can type in a hex code. So if you're getting a style sheet from a company and they say our corporate color is is they will have this figured out. The Pantone color for printing and the hex code for anything digital, the hex code says this is exactly our color. So you type that in there, and then you are generating the color that they asked for. Now, you can't control how every screen looks, because every screen is going to look differently. The brightness, the contrast, the gamma, the saturation, and everything, all different on every single screen. You can't control that, but at least you know you've set the send correctly. The XY option worked out so well for us this morning, so especially when you have to line things up just perfectly. Yes, 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 yes. So it's safe to say only buy 2 cameras, S3, S7, if you want camera controls from YoloBox or Ultra. At this point, yes. Maybe they'll figure out a way to make it work through a hub, or maybe YOLO will test through a bunch of hubs, and then YOLO will have a YOLO branded hub to add more USB capability to these devices, because I can definitely see now that they have 2 USB cameras. I mean, can you imagine a USB YoloBox with maybe 1 HDMI input, but the rest of them are USB inputs, you know? And one of the things I saw while testing was, and this is going to be kind of interesting. Let me come out of here. I'm going to bring up the 2-shot on the YOLO. So here's the 2-shot. Let me make this full frame. So this one is the YOLO cam over USB. This one is my Z1V. Actually, I had titles on that. I guess they got lost. Let me put those on there again. My USB 1. This one is my lock. There we go, my USB S3, and my HDMI 1 is my ZV1. So I'm going to lock that. And the reason I lock them is because once they're locked, they work in a multi-view. So you can see which camera is which. My ZV1 and the S3 is over here. The interesting thing is, we think now my camera is coming out HDMI through a splitter so that it can come over here and over there in my show with the purple background. And it also can be brought into the YoloBox. And I dare say, let me make this full frame. The USB is faster. You tell me, put it in the comments whether you think the USB is ahead or behind of the HDMI. I mean, we're used to HDMI direct connection being the fastest thing, but I can say that the USB is not behind the ZV1, and that's pretty incredible. But I might even say, go so far as to say, let me move out of the way, that the USB is faster than the ZV1. Tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. I'm thinking the USB is even faster. Lower latency on a USB camera. That's not usually heard of. So I'm happy to see it's not slower. It's about even, potentially even faster. So if YOLO can deliver, maybe even make YoloBox USB, which has 4 or 5 or 4, let's just say 4 USB inputs, and you hook up 4 S3s, and you have all the camera controls, all the painting and everything, and then you're bringing your audio some other way, you get it all lined up with the manual timing for the audio. Man, you got yourself a podcast switcher in a box with tiny little discrete cameras. That is super awesome. That is great. Did they fix the hex code? It only works on the Pro as far as I know. Are we saying it doesn't work? Let's go check it, because we can. It's a live show. So let's go back to just me. Let's go back to something boring. There it is, Chief Support Jenny Wong. And what we're going to do is I'll give you the, we're going to go into that. We're going to edit. We're going to go into here, custom. Oh, look at, yeah, there we go. Oh, you know what? I have the YoloDeck plugged in. So hang on, I have to unplug the YoloDeck. Oh, look at that. It's not letting me select it. Let me get out of this again and come back into it. Make it purple, custom. Oh, look at that. Good call. Yep, there is a problem because it's supposed to bring up a keypad or at least leave the cursor there. And I don't have, you know, what has happened is if you have the YoloDeck connected via USB, the YoloBox understands that there is a keyboard device attached. So you're going to type in the number on the keyboard, but this is not a keyboard. But it appears as a keyboard type device. So you'd have to unplug the YoloDeck or until YOLO updates the software to differentiate that the YoloDeck is not a keyboard. No, it is not working on my Ultra. Sad face. That's a bug. Truth and Minnie watching the show has chimed in. USB is faster. Okay, so it's not just me. Not just me. Thank you for chiming that in. Morning, Anthony. I believe HDMI has a natural delay. Is that correct? Not really. There's not a natural delay. HDMI is coming off the sensor. People would always say HDMI is slower than SDI. You can find HDMI fast cameras and you can find HDMI slow cameras. And I think the Tail 2 had a problem where the HDMI was slower, but then they updated it and then that problem wasn't there. The HDMI and the SDI had the same timing. There's no inherent delay because something is HDMI. And then if you're bringing in multiple cameras via HDMI, like I'm doing here, if you're bringing in multiple sources via HDMI and then you bring in something via NDI, the NDI is definitely going to be slower because the NDI has to be captured, and instead of just coming out the cable, it's then compressed, packetized, sent across the network, and then received, unpacketized, rebuilt. All of that has to happen, whereas the HDMI already arrived. So you would need to delay all of your HDMI inputs to match the NDI input. You know what? It's a really good question. Let me grab a different camera. Put my on. Let's find out. I have the Logitech. I'm going to unplug my other thing. I'm going to put this right next to my S3, maybe, without falling off the monitor here. And unlike the S3, which is not really attached to the mount, and I can rotate it a little bit, the Logitech is a little bit off to the side. So we're going to say done. And let's see, USB 2. Here's my USB 2. Here's my USB 1, USB 2. I'm going to tilt it down just a little bit. And now let's make a new scene, side by side, with USB 1, USB 2, done. Oh, they're both the same. Look at that. I thought the Logitech was much slower. I would say these two are right on the money. Done. Full screen. Full screen. Look at that. They're both fast. I don't know why I always thought the USB was slower. See, I'm learning something. Learn something new every day. I get smarter every day. Look at me. But I do not think HDMI has an inherent lag compared to USB. I think maybe it's because if I use a USB capture dongle, it's going to be slower timing than if, I can check that too, I think. Haha. Okay, so the two USB cameras are the same. Got it? Let's try two USBs. One or two HDMIs, one coming from, wait for it, there it is, USB 2. And now I need another multi-view with HDMI 1 and USB 2. Done. Okay, so this is the ZV1. Done. This is the ZV1 coming in via US. No, I did that wrong. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. So this is the ZV1 coming in directly on the left and via USB capture card on the right. And now, are they the same? Am I just, look at, I think they're the same. Yeah, I watched this video today. Somebody just waved his hand in front of the camera for the whole time. Well, they all seem the same. HDMI is HDMI. No, I don't want to leave the event. Cancel. So we're going to stay here. Let's go back to her. I tried a PowerPoint. I edit projects. I edit projects. Okay, here we go. If you had to display multiple Bible scriptures and only use the YoloBox, how would you do it? Well, if you had them ahead of time, I would make PNGs. You could also bring them in as graphics. You could type in, text over there, because you do have in the graphics section, you do have not just lower thirds, but you've got full screen things. So you could do this text and just type in a lot of text, and then you can put it wherever you want, and then you can get rid of the background color. So you could do that, and then you just pick a font that is, like that or like that. I would definitely think maybe some background color would be good. Let's do black, but then do a little bit. You can't soften it. Oh, yes, you can. Put some corners on it. Put some padding on it. So that way it's see-through, but it's, it's there. Done. Bring that up and make it bigger so you can see it. So you could do that. It's going to take a while to do that. And also remember, I have this set up because I did it ahead of time. You can do it via PowerPoint, but also remember that you have, on YoloCast, you have graphics. You have a graphics engine on the web called the Overlay Lab. And you can build all kinds of graphics that you want over here. There's just pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff over here. And then you can build custom things and save them to your overlay. So you have a smaller set that you like. And then my compositions, different things that you've done. And that ties directly into the YoloBox, because if you make this smaller and you say add, there's your YoloCast, my overlays. Those same my overlays appear right here natively. So you can have the comfort of copying, pasting on the desktop, and then they just appear over here so you can bring them up. So you could do that. Or web URL. You could use, they've got a couple of them down here. Overlays Uno is another one that people use a lot. So you can put those in here and then just bring them in directly from having built them on the web with the convenience of a desktop computer. So I hope that helps. And if anybody feels so inclined, super chats are welcome. If you haven't already chimed in, let me know where you're watching from today, because we got people watching from around the world. I bet you Australia has gone to sleep, but Greece may still be there. And if you have any streaming questions, throw them into the comments. Continuing down to the bottom. What is your recommendation for a wireless monitor for YoloBox Ultra? A wireless monitor? You could use a tablet to control it, but monitors in general are not wireless. Or do you mean headphones? I'm confused. I use FreeShow and output each scripture as its own NDI source. Yes, you could do that too. If you have a graphics program that will output NDI, then you can bring it as an NDI source and then do an NDI overlay. Because remember, as overlays, you can use video sources as overlays. So right here, one of my video sources, if I go to video sources, now that NDI source is an overlay. You have that capability as well. Maybe all curse, but can you connect a Bluetooth keyboard? Yes, you can. I've done that. Thank you for the great solutions. You're welcome. Feel free to do a super chat. Thank you. We have a hello from Omaha, Nebraska. Thanks for watching. Could you do all in PDF and put them back to back, display them like a chat? Yes. If you especially don't need any last minute updates. But yes, a PDF. Remember, if you bring in a PDF, and I don't think I have a PDF saved on my media here. I should. Oh, I have a PDF saved of slides, but I don't have, you can bring in a PDF, done, and it's just going to let me show you. If you have that, then you have the ability right here to page between them. So you can have a 20-page PDF of all the different things that you're going to need through the whole show and be able to call it up, and then while it's overlaid, page through your different things. Now, it's just a cut of whatever it is you have there, and you would have to do green screen or something like that to key out the background, or a Luma key and just cut out the black. I don't think this does Luma key, but that's a great idea. So thank Truth and Ministries right there for throwing in an additional great tip about the PDF. So kudos to you. Thank you very much. I love it when we can all like brainstorm together in these shows. Take output to HDMI transmitter and monitor to wireless receiver. Expect delay. Yeah, a little bit of delay, a frame or so. But yeah, you can do that. And HDMI transmitters are separate than the monitors, because you can plug a transmitter into whatever monitor you want. DJI is good, Hollyland is good, Aseon is good, or any number of them are good. In the dirty South Arkansas. Clarification, wireless headphones. I have no specific recommendations for wireless monitors. You wear what you like to wear, whether it be over ear, on ear, in ear, noise canceling, not noise canceling. I would say if you're in a situation where you are trying to, let me bring that back up. I would say if you're in a situation where you are, let's just say, in a church and you are in the hall where it's happening and you're trying to monitor the audio of just your live stream separate from what's going in the room, you're going to need noise cancellation. Or another thing that I've actually done is if you're sitting right at the device, if you're like this close to the device, then what I would do is I would get a pair of wired earbuds that, like I have these. These have the little foam tips that help isolate outside sound coming in. And then I put a pair of I go to the Home Depot store and get some of those noise cancellation covers that's going to insulate what's happening outside in the room from your ears. And then you've got the earbuds on the inside. So that way you're really isolating what you're hearing from the stream, from what's happening in the room, because they're going to be so close to each other. Music playing in the room, music in your ears, they're going to bleed together in your brain, and you really need to physically isolate those. Christian says, watching from Alabama. I do live high school sports with a small team. I just started with the YoloBox Extreme. Wow, that's a It's a big starting. Learning, of course, thanks for your videos. You're welcome. And I've got lots of videos on the Xtreme. Feel free to check them out. And, you know, give them a like and subscribe and all that. On the Bahamas, I have a faulty line port. I want to know if there was any alternatives to bring in sound. Yes, plug it into a camera. Every camera brings in sound as well. Or you could just add another device right next to you to the switcher, and a USB audio interface brings in audio. So USB audio interface, you know, if the line input doesn't work, bring it in the mic input, just lower the level, bring it in a video input. You got those things. You can bring it in via NDI. The YoloBoxes do not do Dante, so don't try that. Where were we on the list? Does anybody know? Overlays and comments now support animated display effects. No, they don't. I'm going to call it what it is. These are not animated display effects. Okay, so look, I've got this lower thirds. Overlay is locked. Okay, I don't have that one. Let me go back to my camera. Let's go back to a camera that's not, here we go. Go to this one. Oh, turn this off. And then that's on, that's off. Okay, let's go into my thing. There's animation. Let's go over here so you can see it better. Animation over there in the corner. Let me put me in front. Animation. Oh, it's going to build on? Is it going to look like this? See, that's an animation. And it will actually animate off too. Okay, so we're going to go into animation. It can come from the top and go out the top. I say done. Ready? Woo. Was that animated or was that a wipe? Let's go back into that and edit that again. Animation. It's not even, I think that's dissolve. Done. Ready? Fade on, fade off. Those are transitions. They are not animations. And I take issue with YOLO calling these animations. They're not animations. These are transitions. You can preview them. If you come down here, if I get out of the way, you can hit the little preview button and you see it fade on and fade off. Or you do this one. It's wiping. It's wiping very fast. If you make it slower, you can see it's just wiping. Looks kind of cool. You know, it's better than nothing. It's better than popping on. Yes. Thank you for letting me fade on and fade on off my titles. Thank you. But at the same time, I am not going to call that an animation. So I hope YOLO rethinks this word. Custom font import for overlay, comments, and schoolboard. Yes, you can now load fonts into the device so that when you are in here and you're in the fonts, you see where it says imported fonts. Let me bring it up a little better. You see where it says imported fonts over there. So you can now bring in more fonts. So kudos to that, because sometimes those corporate overlords also want you to use their specific font in their show. Added intro, outro style animations for overlays. Huh? I think these two are the same exact thing. Overlay and comments. Added intro and outro animations. Not animations. Transitions. These are transitions. Added fade effects and sortable action lists for replay. Yes, I don't do a lot of sports, so I'm not as replay, scoreboard, done. Oh, it doesn't go away when you say done. So now replay, you turn replay on, please select sources. Replay source, that one. Done. Replay on. So now you can see all these replay settings over here. Show replay logo, you turn it off. Show intro, outro. So you've got these like replay effects, and you see how these are green screen. So we're going to do that. And I got the replay on. The replay is on. Camera 1, which is that. And now I'm going to hit. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to hit replay. Play now. So you see how it does that zoop. That's the animation. So this is the replay. And then when it's done, it's going to go, there's the replay, and zoop, it replays out. So you've got those nice, added the fade effects and sortable action lists for replay. Yay! Standard events, scheduled event now support 90-day scheduling, which has been available. I'm down here. Sorted lists support 90-day scheduling. So when you go to, and I can exit the show, done. There we go. If I was to create a new show, I can go to my date, and you can see I have more than 1 week. And this has been something that people have been asking for a long time. And if you go into the next month, it continues. So you can set these longer in advance, which you could do on YouTube, directly. Now you can do it here in the interface. So that a lot of people have asked for that, and they made that happen. So kudos to YOLO for making that happen. Audio Mixer, let's go over. Audio Mixer now supports long press to reorder channels. This is really handy in terms of your Audio Mixer, because you can see you have a lot of inputs over here. All of a sudden, this list becomes kind of long because, let's say I wanted to have my background music. Here's my background music. But I'm all the way up here. I have to scroll down to get the background music, and then I have to scroll back up to get there. So what they're saying is I can press and hold and move this up the list so it's where I want it to be. And now all my stuff is in the same window. Yay! Which is interesting. I have asked Magewell to do this, and they haven't done this yet. So kudos to YOLO for making this happen first. Drop-down menu now displays resolution, and this has been something that the Magewells have been doing for a while. And look at that, HDMI 2. HDMI 2 is 4K 30. No, it's not. It's HD. HDMI 3 is 4K 30. No, it's not. It's HD. HDMI 4 is 4K. No, these are all coming out of an HDMI splitter. So an HD splitter. So none of these are 4K 30. None of these are 4K 30. So I think there's either the reporting is wrong over here, or the device in my HD show is not properly setting the inputs to be HD. So, okay. Added RAM and GPU to usage monitoring. Up here, up here in the top screen. Oh, it's not showing that? Oh, wait. There we go. Up here, this is so handy, just having your heads-up display tell you what's going on the device. You can see I'm using a lot of the GPU to handle all of these 4K, not 4K sources. And my CPU is at 48%, my RAM is at 53%. So I'm still within operational, I should be getting all my frames. I should not have any problems. It should not crash with just this little bit of usage. And I say little bit of usage, I mean, I've got a lot of things going on over here. So let's go back over here. Added RAM and GPU uses. One of the things was I had actually done a show in 4K, and you can see the show. It's actually in the video section of the YouTube. And over here, I did this show, and I think it's the 4K camera shootout. And the Oh, on the wrong screen. And that show over there, I crashed the Extreme, which is what I was using. I think I crashed it 5 times. And I sent the logs in, and when they looked at it, they said I wasn't pushing the CPU or the GPU, which is what they put in the upper part of the screen. I didn't crash that part. I had used up the RAM, and there was just no more RAM to handle everything that I was doing. Because when I tried to put my 3 cameras across, all with the labels, all in 4K, boom, down it went. It crashed multiple times, and now they put all that information right up here, so you have, it's like a speedometer in the car and your revolutions per minute. You need to know how far and how hard you're pushing the device. And YOLO now has a lot of warnings, so as you start pushing it further, it's going to say, whoa, 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 don't do that, because you're going to be pushing it too hard. So kudos to YOLO for making that happen. And let's go over. The last one on this list is added a safe zone area, which I can see still being a thing for people who make content for TVs, because some TVs still have overscan. I have a TV in the other room that still has a little bit of overscan, so whenever they show graphics, I can see it's kind of too close to the edge. It should be set in, and so it's actually pulling things overscan, and I don't know why it's doing that. And I try to go into the settings to turn the overscan off, and there's no way to do it. So whatever. So you can now go in and turn overscan on. I think that's in. So over here, YOLO. Over here, show title action zones, and you can toggle that on. And what that does is it puts that on this monitor only, not the program out. So you know where those actions are. And this comes from the old tube television days. All of the stuff outside of this on various monitors would be tucked into the bezel of the tube. You would lose that. So if you wanted to make sure it stayed on the screen, you would have to make it within these borders. And that's still kind of the case, where people still like making it making it within these zones. Although technically, if you're looking at it on a laptop or most LCD screens or your phone, there's no overscan. You're looking at all the pixels all the way to that edge there. So 90% of the time for today's screens, you don't need it. What I think they missed is they missed a center cross, the crosshatch. We put it in the center. They missed that because sometimes I really want to have something line up, this side and this side of center, but I need to know where that is. And if you don't have that on the screen, I don't know where that is. And I just did a project in a nonlinear editor that didn't have that in the safe title. I'm like, why? I need to do it side by side, and I'm kind of guesstimating it on where the logo is on my TV. I'm like, this is stupid. And yes, the inside line is title safe. The outside line is action safe. And then there's the rest of your monitor. But like I says, for 90% of the screens in use today, these are irrelevant. But some people still like making sure that it's tucked in. Way more important when we had tube monitors, which I don't think there are very many of in use today at all. Will changing from 30 to 60 frames per second affect the CPU, GPU? There is a noticeable glitching on the sports streaming on 30. We want to try 60, but don't want to crash the stream. Give it a try. That's all I can say is give it a try, because technically, according to my YoloBox, I'm already doing 60 frames a second, right? Oh no, I'm doing 30. Oh no, HDMI 1, look at this. My HDMI 1 is coming in at 60. Is it really? And if we look at my stream settings, I'm doing a 30 frames per second stream. So is it down converting on here? So I'm doing this show at 1080. And if we look at my record settings, which I've hidden, so I got to reactivate. Hang on. No, it should be there. Record settings. Okay. So, and this is also recording at 1080p. So I don't know why it's saying that my sources, which are HD, are coming in at 4K. It's a camera outputting HD to an HD distribution amp that's coming in HD, and the YoloBox Ultra is currently reporting it as 4K in an HD project with HD recording. I don't know. So anyway, we can look at this. My recording is at everything is set at 30. Now, since I haven't done this show, I can change it. 40, let's write these down. 40, around 76, we'll wait, 75, 74, we'll say 75, and RAM is at 53. Now, I'm going to set this to 60. I'm going to increase my data rate just because, and then I'll go over my streaming settings. And I'm going to increase this 60 and come out. And right now, 40, 76, 57. It hasn't changed my settings at all. So I've changed the settings. Let me come out and then go back in. See that? Now my GPU is down into the 60s. So go figure. Now if I start recording, yes, start. 50, 60, 53. My CPU went up a little bit from the 40s to the 50s, but the other things didn't increase much at all. So I increased my show from 30s to 60s and it didn't do a thing. At this point, I'm actually going to call out one thing. Let's see if this happens. So if you're using the YoloDeck, and the YoloDeck comes up with the record button, and it shows you I'm recording. If I turn recording off, do you want to stop the recording? Done. Now, I haven't tested this in a long time, but I'm going to start recording. I guess not. I'm going to start recording. Start recording. Yes, start. Now, it's showing that I'm recording over here. And it used to be that if I say stop recording over here, the alert did not come up. I'm going to see if they've fixed this bug. I have stopped the recording with no alert on the recorder itself. And I tell people, don't put streaming and recording buttons on your YoloDeck because no warning appears on the device if you accidentally push it. So I wish YOLO still, I've said this for a year, I wish they would, first, don't put these on here by default. Secondly, if you do push it to stop, it should come up with an alert on the device. Always. Are you sure you want to stop streaming or was that accidental? Just like if you try to back out. Did you mean to back out? Oh, no, I did not mean to back out of it. Cancel that. And if I'm recording on the device and I accidentally, because it's a touch screen, you can accidentally touch things. And if I accidentally touched it, are you sure you wanted to stop recording? Are you sure? No, keep recording. Whereas if I have it over here and I say, and I'm pushing something in my hands on here and I accidentally push that button, I've stopped recording. And if it's a touch surface or if it's a tactile surface, I don't have to be looking at it. So I'm not seeing that the red button is now green. I'm just punching cameras on my device. I'm watching the multicam output in front of me as opposed to saying, oh, I stopped streaming 30 minutes ago? That's please, YOLO, fix it. I've been saying this for a year. Fix it. It was great to see my GPU at 75 this morning. I don't know how great that is. It's good to know it's at 75. But it's always great to make sure it's as low as you can possibly keep it. YOLO beat Magewell on that one. Yes, they did. They did. An answer to the other question, YOLO Zoom 8.6 works great via USB. No batteries needed. Sweet. I also have a separate cell phone I use to view the stream. That's always a good tool as well. Thank you very much. Look at that. Thank you. I'm humbled. Truth and Ministry Super Chat, $4.99. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Helped me tremendously. I thank you for throwing in a super chat. I appreciate that very much. That's why I do these live shows, because we have this direct interaction, and I can see that you actually made that happen. Thank you. And Truth of Ministries agrees. It is indeed more like transitions. They are not animations, transitions. Just like this. If I, and this is happening on the director, I can bring in my YouTube. That's a transition. It transitioned in, and it's going to transition out. And I can bring in my Facebook, Stream Technology, transition out. But if I want an animation, that is animated. It's moving. There's multiple layers to it. And when it's done, it all builds off, builds on and builds off. That's an animation. A transition is just moving that thing around. New to streaming, any videos helping fix YouTube delays? If you are delayed about 20 seconds, that is normal. That's not a problem. That's not a bug. That's what it takes, because I am streaming to 5 different destinations, and they're all going to have 5 different timings. And I know YouTube is behind. And it's behind by 20 seconds. And in that 20 seconds, my signal is getting there. They're taking it in. They're ripping it apart. They're then creating an HD, a 720p, a 540p, a 380p. They're creating all these different versions of that for me, for free. And then they're putting those out on the platform. That takes a few seconds. Also, it helps in terms of packet delay to then, delay before YouTube even does that. They might wait 5 seconds to make sure all the packets. So if a packet comes out of order and it gets there a little bit behind, they haven't already started processing the video without that packet or a glitch. Waited. Okay, that packet came in and I put it in the right place, and here we go. It's a feature. That said, you can go into the YouTube studio and lower the buffer in YouTube. 15, 20 seconds is normal. You can lower it short, and you can make it really short. And I think with the shortest version, they basically pass through what you send. If you're sending 1080p, 1080p is all that will be available. They don't have time to do the transcoding at the shortest thing. Yikes, good call. Yes, it is very scary that is still a thing. And thanks for the real-time test. Happy to do it. And remember, super chats are always welcome. Hello from England, John Martin on TV channels. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. Will it overheat when you record and stream at the same time? No, but they all have built-in fans, and these fans can ramp up. I will say, will it overheat? In a temperature-controlled room, no. If you are outside in Texas in the sun, and by this I mean, let me call it up because I just sent it to somebody else the other day. If you are outside in Texas in the sun at 107 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, like 40 or 50, I don't know. Okay, maybe not 50, but it's hot. It's insanely hot. And the sun is beating on it. It's going to have a really hard time cooling itself down. If you're in a temperature-controlled environment that is room temperature, 20, 25 degrees, 70, 80 degrees, yes, it's going to be able to cool itself down and keep the temperature, which, we can actually see the temperature on the device. Over there it says my CPU temperature is at 64 degrees Celsius. It's able to do that because it's got the fan going and cooling itself down. It will not overheat if it's able to cool itself down. If you are in a space that's like an oven, you're outdoors in India or Egypt or, the middle of Europe this summer, and it's super hot out, and you're outdoors and the sun is hitting it and it's swelteringly hot, it's going to have a really hard time keeping the CPU temperature down when the air it's pulling through is already at 100 degrees. That's, you know, it's a whole ecosystem that you have to think of, not just the device, but where are you? Deval Video says, YoloLive showed how to stream directly to Zoom in vertical mode without a laptop. Can this be done in horizontal mode too? I'll have to look at that video. I have not seen that. In vertical mode, I think I know what they're talking. In vertical mode, the way the YoloBox streams is different because it's using an app on the device. So let's back out of this. Let's back out of this. In vertical mode, and I don't have this set up for this because I don't do a whole lot of vertical. You would launch an app over there, and what you were doing is you are using this device to be the virtual camera that goes into the app. So you're using the Zoom app. In horizontal mode, no, there we go. In the horizontal mode, see, that's why I say it should be vertical mode and horizontal mode, not quick mode and streaming mode. Because in streaming mode, you could not stream. I haven't streamed at all yet in streaming mode. There's no YouTube, or there's no Zoom over here in the destinations. Now, if you can RTMP into Zoom, then you can create an RTMP link over here and turn it on, and it will send your horizontal stream as an RTMP into Zoom. And you would do that on the, over here in your YoloLive dashboard. This is not YoloCast. Your YoloLive dashboard. You log in with the same account you log in with your device, and you have access to the overlays library and everything like that. And you can come up to your destinations. You've got the 3 things, which is still limited to 3 things even after like 7 years. I wish they would add LinkedIn and other destinations, but they haven't. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and RTMP. And then if you open up your RTMP, you could add other things down here for Zoom. If you can get an RTMP ingest into Zoom as a guest or whatever, then that's how you would do it from your horizontal work. You would copy and paste your data into here, give it a special name. You would come up here, you would say add platform, and then you would add an RTMP, and then you would type it in here, and then on the once you created it here in your dashboard on the cloud, then you come over to the device, and over there on the right, it would then appear as a new destination, and you could put it. You can add new destinations here. It's just a lot harder to copy and paste data from a web source like Zoom into your RTMP from here. So that's sort of your answer. Direct sunlight is not your friend. No, not on my skin, not on the device. It is not. Solar panels, definitely a friend. On the device, not so much. Yeah, bring some shade with you if you're outdoor streaming. Absolutely. Definitely. What about maps like Aaron P? Have they made something like that available? Nope, no maps on the Ultra as of yet. The Ultra may not have the power to do that. And also, I think it's some back-end stuff that YOLO is providing as well. They're covering the cost for that, just like they're covering the cost for the multicasting, for being able to send to 3 using YoloLive's multi-streaming service here. They've been covering that since the very first YoloBox. You're going through their computer and they're doing the multicast. Just like you would pay for Restream to do, YOLO is doing it for free to 3 destinations. If you want more, then YOLO will happily sell you YoloCast and give you plenty of destinations. But cancel. YOLO is doing that for free, and YOLO is doing the mapping for free as well, because I don't think it's all happening in the YoloBox itself. I could be wrong. I'm not an engineer. I don't work for YOLO. I have no inside information. But they have not done that. I'm going on almost 2 hours. I appreciate you all being here. I hope this has been a fact-filled show for you. And I appreciate everybody who has chimed in. And I'm actually going to give props out once more to Tech Ministries, who felt compelled to give me a super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who watches these live shows and chimes in with their information. As always, like I say, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, like, subscribe, ring the bell, share one of my videos to your social medias that you found useful, and let other people know about StreamTek as a resource, because that helps me grow. Because if they're, looking at their own stuff, they're not exposed to what I've got going on, and they have no idea the 310 videos here that might provide help for them online. You can also find out more about me on streamingmedia.com. If you want consulting, take everything I've got and I'm putting out in a show and give it directly to you an hour at a time. Go to streamtek.us, use the contact us page for consulting. Feel free to check out my B4 on Micro Four Thirds group and my AirMix group, and also check out my sister's artwork at 17 Seconds Studio. Lots of really cool things there. I have a couple in my house as well. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all tuning into these shows every week. What is it today? 160. What is it again? 167 shows live. Thank you all for being here for all of these shows. And till next time, thanks for watching.